My name is Monk Coleman. I live in the San Francisco, Oakland Bay area. Um, I am a transformational coach / life coach, and I do public speaking. And for fun, I am a natural pro physique bodybuilder. Yeah, that's pretty much what I do. I'm also an author. I wrote a book just recently. Did you get that? Did I send that to you?
No, I did not get that. Can you tell us what
Yeah.
the book is?
Yeah, it's called Love Over Fear, A Guide to Peace and Purpose. It's basically a guide. I have these 10 reference points, and it's a guide on how to live from that space. For instance, gratitude, how to live with gratitude, consistency, constructive mindset, all the tools you need to transform your life.
Oh, wow. Okay, yeah, I need to get that. But also tell our viewers what a transformational coach is, like for those who don't know.
Well, it's you want to get down to the nitty gritty. So the things that have been blocking you and holding you back, you want to dive into that. It comes with when my coaching comes with meditation and mindfulness and awareness. But I give the tools for them to get out of the places where they're stuck, whether it be relationship wise or job wise or career wise. Just giving people the tools to get out of the funk that they're in. You know, we all kind of get stuck. So I give them the tools to get unstuck. Maybe show them things that they're not seeing right now. And this leads to transformation. So you start to change your habits and the things you do on a daily basis. And this creates transformation. So a lot of people just like to tell people what to do or how to do it. But if you actually show them and give them these tools, they can actually do it themselves. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Through practice and, you know, and consistency. So that's what I do. So, you know, it goes across diet, you know, career, whatever you're stuck in, the method is always the same in getting out of that.
So what led you to that?
What led me to doing that?
Yeah.
Basically, I did it for myself, right? Firsthand experience from it. And then I started doing a lot of reading during my transformation. And then I just started to learn why I did what I did, transforming through, you know, spiritual practice, and how I could help other people do the same. So that's how I got there. At first, I was just a trainer, but I realized that, you know, being a trainer, that's just your physical body. But there's something deeper and more transformative than that, you know, and that's your spirit. That's what we are. So getting down to the very essence of who you are and realizing that creates change. So that's why I did it, because of my personal experience. And a lot of people say, well, how did you do that? How did you do that? How did you stop doing the things you were doing? And I really couldn't tell them at first. So that's why I started studying and reading and getting to the, you know, the reason why I stopped doing it, because I really didn't know why I stopped doing it. I just know the certain things that I did in my life as far as habits got me there. So
okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
I didn't know exactly what to pinpoint what really got me there. So I had to start doing a lot of reading. Then it all started to make sense, you know.
Right. Okay. So does that intertwine with how did you get onto this plant-based journey? Is that connected, or how did you get there?
100%. I became a vegan accidentally on purpose, I would like to say. I wasn't trying to do it, right? But the things that I was doing led me to that point in my life. I didn't know what a vegan was when I stopped eating meat. So my vegan journey was a little bit different, or plant-based, whatever you want to call it. Those are two different things, but we can get into that a little bit later. But mine was alcoholism, drugs, dysfunction, and getting to a point where I was physically, you know, destroying myself. And I didn't know what to do, so I started to meditate. I looked meditation up and I started to meditate because I couldn't do it anymore. It was going to kill me, and I had to stop. And then I didn't know what to do after I stopped. Right, my mental state was bad. I was anxious. I was like, how am I going to do this? I have to do this, but how am I going to do this? I've tried this so many times before, but it never worked. You know, I'd take a month off or two at the most, and I'd be back doing it. So this is 20-something straight years of doing what I'm doing. So it had to stop. So I looked into meditation, and I started doing that. And then everything started to change. Things started to shift. I started to look at people different. I started to look at myself different. I started to cultivate compassion for people that I didn't know, and people that were doing bad work before I would have probably judged them. At first, I was still, angry and irritated and frustrated because, alcohol was a crutch for me. Mm-hmm. And whenever I wasn't feeling right, I just used that to take the loudness away, you know what I'm saying? To suppress whatever I was feeling instead of dealing with it. So going forward, I started to, even like when you're in a gym and you just start working out, you don't see the results, but then, year after year after year, you start to see results that you walk by a window or something, you see yourself and it's like, oh, is that me? So the inner work is the same way. You start doing this inner work every single day, and the next thing you know, your experiences start to change in life, and you start to think, feel, and move different. Have different type of emotions. You want to start helping people. I started to become way more compassionate. My job, I seen people. I became, empathetic, and I just wanted to do things for people. I wanted to help people. I wanted to give people money. I wanted, I felt people's emotions so strong. I became an empath. So going forward, I went to a vegan, not a vegan restaurant, opposite of a vegan restaurant, almost like a Black Bear Diner type of thing. And I went to eat an omelet. This was 3 years into my meditation. And I looked at the menu, and it was all meat, ham, bacon, all this other stuff. And I was like, nothing looks good to me right now. So I ordered a vegetarian omelet. And usually, even if I order eggs, it's going to have some type of meat on it, right? Some sausage or some ham or some bacon or something. But nothing looked good. So my friend that I was with, she said, "Are you a vegetarian?" And at that moment, I was like, "Yes." And the crazy part about that is I knew it immediately. I wasn't going to eat meat again. I knew it. I said it. I don't know why I said it, but I knew it, right? So I'm tripping out like, man, I just became a vegetarian from a question asked me, right? And I didn't know why. I had no idea why. So after I got out, I was so ready to get on Google and ask Google, why did this happen, right? So I think the first thing I Googled was vegetarianism and bodybuilding. Because, I'm in the gym. Everybody says you're going to get skinny, you're going to get this, you're going to get that. So I think that might have been the first thing I Googled. And I actually know some of the people that popped up when I did that, right? Vegans and stuff. That's when I started seeing the vegan word. I'm like, what is that? I thought it was a religion or a cult, or so I didn't know what that was. Vegan. I had no idea, right? So second thing that I looked up was why did I do that? Meditation. That I think something about connection between meditation and vegetarianism or something like that. And something interesting came up. It basically said, I made a connection with life, all life, and I didn't want to do any harm to any other beings.
Oh, wow.
Right? So it took the condition off, this has to be, this species. I don't show love for the species because it's a different species, right?
Right.
So I was like, that makes sense because, most of us, unless we grew up and our parents put it on us, we can't kill animals. We can't watch that. Even if we eat animals, we can't. If someone said, you want some bacon, go in the back, there's a pig back there, go kill it. No one would eat bacon.
Right.
Right. So if seeing it and you can't do it, if you can't do this, why would you eat it? Because you can't do it because something's wrong with it. At the deepest level, it's wrong. That's why you can't do it, but you still eat. And that's the disconnect right there, right? You won't do it, but you'll still eat it. And that made sense to me. Now I'm like, well, if I can't do it, I shouldn't be eating it. Because deep down inside, I know it's wrong, right? So fast forward a couple years, I'm still just on a vegetarian diet because I think chickens just have eggs and cows just have milk, right? That's how ignorant I was until I seen a video. And I never really knew what veal was. Well, veal was a little young male cow, milk that was born through artificial insemination. And if it's a male, they go ahead and kill it and they sell it off. And then if there's a female, they milk that cow to death. So I'm like, I can't be a part of that. Then the egg process, I'm like, so they throw all the male chicks in the egg industry in a grinder alive, or they gas them or throw them in garbage cans. I never knew. But once I seen that, I was like, there's no way I can be a part of this. And then it even progressed on to, what clothes are you wearing? What are you wearing? Are you wearing animal skin? Are you wearing another being's skin? I just like, just the rabbit hole. It's like, what have I been doing? How have I been living this whole time not knowing all this, right? Knowing how much damage and harm, and the planet. I never knew that the animal agriculture tore the planet up like that. You know what I'm saying? They keep things in such a, they keep everything so you can't get this information if you're not looking for it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You don't have commercials like this. You don't know about slaughterhouses and the diseases they carry. You don't know any of these things. You don't know how the animals are treated. Everything's a secret until you start investigating these things. So I started finding out that, and that's when I became vegan. And not only became vegan, but I became a spokesperson for that. So veganism to me, a lot of people, you got people that maybe from a different race that have different views on veganism or why they became vegan. But veganism to me, because of the way I became vegan, to me, is unconditional. It's love without conditions. It's respecting beings and loving beings, no matter what the condition. So you have some people that love people that just only like them. You have some people that love, all different races, but they don't love gay people. They think that's wrong. You have people that, you know what I'm saying? You got all these conditions on all these different, I'm a people person. Oh, except for them. I don't like them. You know what I'm saying? Doesn't make sense. Right. Oh, I'm an animal lover, except for those animals. I'll eat those. It makes no sense. So me, through my meditation, connecting to who I am, which is love, I started showing compassion for all beings, regardless of what they believe, regardless of their species, gender, sexual orientation, whatever it is. And that's why I actually had got that tattoo, because people say, whoa, vegan, you really serious about that diet? I said, let me tell you something. To me, it's not a diet. It has nothing to do with food. It has to do with respect for life and love, unconditional love for all life. So I know you interviewed Tammy the other day, and she was like, I ain't never gonna stop eating meat. You do your thing, I'll do mine. But in the long run, she really seen how much it really affected me.
Right.
And I think she started to hear what I was saying, and it started to make a little sense, and a little bit of sense to her. And then eventually she came over to the life side, and here we are. So yeah, it's basically a short version of how I became vegan. It's
That's
about
awesome.
it was about finding myself. It didn't have anything to do with a diet or animals or anything else. It was just, how can I heal myself? And that's where it took me.
And that's what it's really, about. It starts with yourself. It starts within yourself. So how do you handle like social situations, like when you're out, when the outside is open? How do you handle social situations?
Right. Well, as far as people asking me things or being around certain things.
Now, if you're out with friends that are not vegan and stuff like that, like you're at social functions or anything of that nature.
Well, like I said, because of the way I became vegan, there's a lot of judgy vegans out there. There's a lot of really judgmental people out there. I actually had to get off some sites because they were just throwing people under the bus and dogging people out. So because of the way I became vegan, I was never a judgmental person, because it was exactly the opposite of that is why I became vegan.
Right.
It was unconditional. So with that comes understanding, right? So if you understand that these people are intentionally, this is where they are, right? This is where they are. I was there before. This is where they are. Of course, you want to give them information and you want to give it from a non-judgmental way, right? I think it's really all about the delivery. So if I come to somebody and I just give them information from here, like this is something you may not know, and just let it ride like that, they're way more, likely to accept the information that I gave them. Right? If I was to come to like, you killing animals, you this, you that, they're way more likely to push back.
Right.
And say I'm a whatever. So I give people information, but I give it from a loving place and I let it ride. And that's a seed that's planted, not rejected. It actually got in there. So when you do say something from a judgmental place, a lot of times those seeds are never planted. You know what I'm saying? It's actually the opposite, it has the opposite effect. So like I said, we all been there. We all are where we are. And as long as you go around and shine your light, spread your message and love, then you can't go wrong. So I always try to stay from, even, people make comments and stuff on social media and things like that. It's like, that's where they are. That's where they are. I'm not going to take it personal.
Mm-hmm.
No, I can't change somebody. You can't change anybody.
Right.
You can just show them something different.
Exactly.
Whether they accept that or not, that's up to them.
Right. But like with food, like so if you're out, say you're at a family function or whatever, how do you handle the food situation? Do you bring your own food or how do you handle that?
If we know it's gonna be like that, we don't even risk it anymore.
Uh-huh.
We just like, well, if they say they're gonna have something, it's like, well, we still gonna bring our own stuff because you never know. People don't know what's vegan.
Right.
They'll think a burger is a vegan or something like that.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, we always bring, unless we're going to a vegan function, we're always gonna bring our own stuff just in case. I done went too many times where I went somewhere and I was just stuck with nothing to eat. I was drinking water and eating ice cubes.
Like, look, fasting. I'm just gonna fast for the next hour.
Exactly, or however many hours it is. Just give me some water. I'm cool.
Like, I'm good. Okay, so what foods did you, when you were growing up, that you enjoyed that you now have veganized?
Well, I don't really cook. That's Tammy. Tammy is the one to be thrown down. I don't really be cooking. I just be eating. I'm the food critic, tester. Right. So, of course, spaghetti is a regular thing.
Yep.
And there's so many different options now. It's like if you want to do it, it's super easy. I mean, anything that you can do with animal products, you can do without. Same thing. They got a replacement for everything. Like the Just Egg. If you give the Just Egg to somebody, they wouldn't even know the difference. I mean, really wouldn't know the difference. Except for there's one difference. It don't stink. Right? It don't stink like eggs. But everything else is just like eggs.
So do you do a lot of like those type of vegan foods, or because some of that stuff is still kind of like processed, or do you still more with?
It's totally processed. I try not to eat very much of it. I eat a lot of fruit, a lot of vegetables. But Tammy likes mixing that stuff up in the food. Like I eat something today in the spaghetti. But yeah, it's processed for sure. But the one thing that it doesn't have there's a lot of things it doesn't have that regular animal products has, is the energy that's in that, the fear, all of the treatment the animal was given before they killed it. That energy is still in there, and you're not taking in the energy from that animal. So it's a huge difference, even if it's processed. You know what I'm saying? So people don't understand that you can't kill energy. It's not created or destroyed. So where's that energy? Right? Where's that energy going? It's going right into you and becoming part of you. So
exactly. All right. So what do you think is the most positive result of you changing your diet?
I think it's a lot of mental clarity. I don't know if you got that when you started changing your diet, but mental clarity, and I didn't start becoming a bodybuilder until, I was lifted weights, but I didn't become a bodybuilder until after I became vegan. So so physically, it did some good things for me too. I don't know what I would have looked like. It's been 7-8 years, I think, almost, since I eaten meat, 6 vegan. I don't know what my body would have looked like now, but I'm over 50 years old and I'm still competing with young guys. So physically, it's doing well for me. Mental clarity, and just knowing that I'm not contributing to all this craziness. You know what I'm saying? They're saying all these viruses are all animal, from animal agriculture. They're all getting passed through the little slaughterhouses and stuff. You got the bird flu, mad cow. All this stuff is from what we're doing to them. It's a little bit of payback for us. You know what I mean? We got to stop doing it.
Well, you gotta start doing a whole bunch of stuff.
Right, right.
So did you before like you did all this, did you have any ailments like before that you noticed upon changing your diet that those ailments are gone or?
Well, I'm gonna tell you what, I recover way faster.
Oh.
And in the gym,
Mm-hmm.
and also like colds and stuff, they come, they don't last at all. They come and then they go. So yeah, I noticed a big difference in that. But as far as like joint pain, inflammation, all gone. Like even though I have an ache or pain, it's gone so fast. And a lot of people that I go, I see at the gym, a lot of them will get on a plant-based diet for a short period of time, and they'll say, "Oh man, my shoulders feel better, blah blah blah," but they're so conditioned.
Oh yeah.
They're so conditioned that it's almost like, if you're an alcoholic and you stop drinking, you're gonna feel so much better. Every day you're gonna get up, you're gonna feel good. But why do you go back drinking? Because this is what you conditioned yourself to be in this position, right? So even though you feel better, you're gonna go back to doing something that's gonna make you feel worse. So it's the same way with eating. By the time we get a certain age, we're conditioned and the hard drive is set. So if it's set on a certain diet, you might have emotional connections to this diet. Your grandma could have cooked this stuff for you. All kind of things is connected to food. And to give it up for good is a tough thing to do. Any little thing could throw you right back into, eating the way you used to eat. And that's, a lot of times that's what happens. So we're conditioned beings. We're conditioned to be a certain way. In order to get out of those conditions, you have to change who you are. Like literally change who you are. You can't just, I'm gonna try to do this and try to do that. That's why everybody fails. You can't just try to do something. You have to change who you are.
Right.
Trying doesn't work, and everybody knows that. You know what I'm saying? You have to, at your core, you have to change yourself. You have to let the conditions go, the conditioned beliefs, the limited beliefs.
Right, but that starts with inner self work, and then a lot of people are not, wanting to do that inner work.
Absolutely, they work backwards, right? You want things, and you start backwards, try to work your way in when you should be working within, and it will create outward changes. You see what I'm saying? And that's what I do when I coach. It's like it all starts here, and then it creates your outward experience changes just from changing the inside. Right? You put different people into your life, you can sit different situations into your life, and it's just because you changed who you were in here. You didn't go out to try to do something different. Like my friends are different because I changed myself.
Right.
I started back to who I was. Not change myself, I started to allow the things that weren't me to go. And when you do that, you're gonna attract people like yourself. You're gonna attract people that are like you because you're vibrating at the same level. So these are the experiences you're gonna have. The people you experience things with are gonna be different. Your experiences themselves are gonna be different. Your job might change, your career, whatever that is, just because you're vibrating at a different level. So you're gonna have different experiences, and that's all from that inner work.
Exactly. You have different, you vibrate at a different frequency. And right now, everybody should be vibrating on this frequency of love, this 528, but
Yes, absolutely. But like, if you put it like this though, for the longest time, I didn't know what to do. It took something really serious for me to turn inward.
That's usually what happens.
Right. It took something really serious for me to go, nothing else is working. All this stuff I've been chasing around after my whole life is not working. Let me go inside, see what's going on there. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And that's what happened. That's what changed it all.
Okay, so there's a stigma that comes with not eating meat or dairy in various cultures. Many are led to believe that this diet lifestyle is only for certain cultures. Do you agree with this? Like, what is one thing you wish people would know about this lifestyle?
Well, with Black people, during slavery and all this other stuff, the diets were given to Black people back then.
Right.
So this started to be a staple in the Black diet. And it's so far off from what what Africans used to eat, right? So, but this happened for so long, it became like, this is what Black people eat. Everything fried, everything, super, sauces and salt and, what I'm saying? The tails and intestines and feet, what I'm saying? So this became something normal. So to throw a vegan diet at somebody with this is a normal diet, that seems strange. But the original diet was like that. We're just so far removed. We're so far removed from the original diet. We think it's something odd, right? So luckily or thankfully, people are waking up. And there's a huge Black vegan movement going on. The fastest out of any other group. So when you start waking up, food is very important when it comes to really realizing who you are and really tapping into that power that you are. And it's amazing to see. I mean, we were going to me and 4 others were going to be in a bodybuilding competition, all Black, all. I mean, that's like a unicorn riding on a unicorn.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I'm saying? 5 of us, all Black, all vegan, in the same bodybuilding competition. That competition got canceled though, so we couldn't do it. We were gonna, make a little documentary out of it and all that, but it was supposed to be last weekend. But yeah, things are changing, and people are waking up, from all walks of life, but yeah, we know it's not just for one group of people. That's what it used to be,
right?
But it's not. You know what I'm saying? We're finding out there's power in food and the things we put in our bodies, and we're starting to tap into that.
Yeah, and then if you really, 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 really want to go into it, when you were born, you were pretty much a vegan. I mean, you you wasn't born eating meat. You was introduced to that. So if you wasn't introduced to meat, you wouldn't be eating meat.
Right. That's what I'm saying. It's all conditioned. Usually the first food that we give, or nearly the first food that we give our kids, I know it was in my family and in what I gave my kids, were chopped up little pieces of hot dog. Carcinogen.
What?
Right? This is what we're feeding our kids when they're babies, because we chop them up in little pieces so they don't choke, but they get to eat that meat, and that meat is soft. You know what I'm saying? So we give that with a little bit of chopped up corn or whatever. So this is what we introduce our kids to right off the bat, right? If we would have never give our kids meat, they wouldn't want meat. They wouldn't even want it. And the thing about it is that everybody's protein.
Yeah, that's a big myth.
It is such a fraud. It is such a marketing campaign for the meat and dairy industry.
Yep.
Right? That's all it is. A mother's milk has very, very, very little protein in it. And this is the perfect food for a human being.
Yep.
Cow's milk is there it makes a cow grow 600 pounds in a year. Our bodies can't break it down, and especially amongst African Americans, I think it's like 70 or 75% lactose intolerant.
Yeah, and you were supposed to be. You're not supposed to be eating dairy.
We're not babies. We are the only group of people that drink milk when we're grown-ups. Milk is for babies. And that is something that blew my mind when I finally woke up to this whole thing. I'm like, dang, we're drinking milk. That milk is for a baby.
Well, look, not even that. We're the only species that drink milk from another species. You don't see a tiger drinking milk from a goat.
Right. And I always say this. I said, if a woman came up to you with some breast milk, hold on. I don't care. She could be the most beautiful woman in the world, right? Some ice cold breast milk, and you eating a plate of brownies, right? And your mouth is super dry. And she said, you want some of this breast milk? You'd be like, hell no, I don't want none of that breast milk. But the cow walk up and you just grab that breast milk and start drinking it. What kind of sense does that make? What kind of sense? It's like that.
Because there's sugar in it.
No, I don't know I mean, I don't know exactly what's in it, but I'm gonna tell you why it's like that. Because when a woman asks you, they make that connection that this milk is for a baby.
Oh, okay.
Baby, right? That's the connection they make. It's like, why would I drink that? That's for your baby. But with a cow, because a cow's not handing it to you, right? You just think, and you've been drinking it your whole life in school. They used to give us milk in school.
Yep.
Right? Free milk. You know what I'm saying? We was always on the food programs and stuff.
Yep, with the lunches. Mm-hmm.
Right. But a cow's not handing it to you and asking you, you want some of my milk? So, and you've been drinking it your whole life, so it just seems normal. So it's crazy when a woman asks you, and it's disgusting. But if a cow offers you something, you're gonna take that. I want to know who the first person that went out to the barn and started sucking on a cow titty. I want to know that person. Who was that person? And how did they get one other person to agree with them? How did you get one person and then now we're all drinking it? I mean, I need to Google that and see how that started happening.
It's marketing, just like you said, it's a marketing ploy.
I'm just saying, who was the first person to go out there?
Nobody do that.
You know,
nobody didn't do that. What they did was is that marketing ploy. They threw in milk does a body good. You need milk for calcium. They threw that in there.
Way before that.
They threw that in there.
I mean, did you ever see that video where they had the dog milk and they would say, you want to try this new milk? And they're going around with dog milk, right? And they say, you want to try this new milk we got? And they give it to people and it's like, it's sweet. It was like dog milk, right? And they was like, it's sweet. It's like, yeah, that's the new dog milk we got. And they was like, right? But it's no difference. It's no difference. It's just
right.
Like, we're not hearing that, right? We don't drink milk from dogs. We drink it from cows. You know, even people that drink goat milk, people are like, oh, goat milk, that's strange. You drink goat milk? It's like they're all animals that aren't our species. That there's no difference.
Oh, wow. Yep, it's all in here. It needs to be unprogrammed.
Right. It makes sense. It makes sense to you because you've been seeing this your whole life. It's almost like when you grow up in a dysfunctional family, this is what looks normal, and it's not.
Right. That's so funny. Okay, so there's that rumor around that says that eliminating meat and dairy from your diet, the groceries are expensive. Do you experience that? Like you spend more on groceries?
The only thing that is expensive is the processed stuff.
Yeah.
Other than that, I mean, farmers markets are cheap, beans and rice. I mean, you can juice, you can do all that stuff, right. and relatively cheap, right? But if you want, and if you want the other stuff, it's going to cost the same as the meat you're buying. You know what I'm saying? So it's not more expensive. Look, people are always going to come up with excuses because they don't want to change the way they live. Period. Right? You can be a vegan on a budget. I mean, when this thing started going down, beans and rice was off the shelf.
Off the shelf, all that stuff. Look at all the veggies were still there.
Right. Why are they going to get our stuff though? This is what we do. You know, we've been doing this. And then eventually people start doing research and like the lemons start disappearing.
Yep.
Vegetables start disappearing. They're like, oh, we got to get on this. We got to get our immune system up. One time I went in the Safeway, they didn't have a lemon in the whole place. Not
the
one.
lemons were gone. I was noticing like the cilantro was gone.
People was doing research. It was like, well, we got to. But then again, you see a lot of carts full of just boxes and, candies and cookies.
Look, one day I went in, one day I went into Sprouts and I went down the freezer section. And from the start of the freezer section, which was the ice cream part of it, that whole section was gone. It was like 8 feet of ice cream. Well, vegan ice cream that was gone. It's like, yep. This is where all the expensive stuff, when you say, oh, it costs a lot to be on this lifestyle, but hey, you're in here eating vegan ice cream.
Right. Yeah, it is expensive because it's amazing what they can do with that substitute, like meat substitutes. Right. I mean, you never know the difference. And jackfruit, who came up with that? Who came up with that? How do you have a jackfruit that can be like pulled pork? How does that work?
It works wonderfully.
Someone's a genius. Someone is a genius.
Yep,
Yeah,
it sucks up all the flavoring.
man, it is crazy, ain't it? And I always tell people, it's not about, you don't like meat. You don't eat meat without seasoning on it.
Mm-hmm.
I said you eat meat because of the plants that you put on the meat. All them spices and herbs and stuff, them are all plants.
Yep.
You're just used to eating this. That's it. You're conditioned to eat this, and you think the meat is what tastes good, but it doesn't.
Right.
And then when people say, "Oh yeah, I like the meat by itself," I say, "Go boil some chicken and eat that without anything. Tell me how that tastes." You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's gonna be gross. I mean, it's gross, period, to be eating body parts to me now. It wasn't before, but I can barely walk through the meat section. The smell, I'm super hypersensitive to the smell now.
Right.
It just, you know, when you don't, just like, you know, when you used to smoke cigarettes and you stop smoking cigarettes, now you can smell cigarettes 5 blocks away. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So hypersensitive, you can smell the death in the food now.
Does that happen to you with the like when you're in Whole Foods and you go by the cheese section?
Oh my God.
Man.
It smells so rotten, right?
Yep.
It just smells rotten. The meat smells rotten, all of it. I mean, sometimes I get the chills walking by it. It's like, just the whole energy of it. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Tammy like that too now. She be like, I hate going.
But so that ends up being another thing. You just got to start growing your own food.
Mm-hmm. I need to start learning that.
Look, that's what I started trying to do with this. I'm like, I'm going to have to grow my own food. I don't want to be in the store with everybody tripping. Because it kind of like when you're in the beginning, you know, when everybody was out rushing and doing all this stuff, it kind of gave off this air of anxiety. I'm like, I don't want to be in a store like that. Like, you know, when I go to the store, I'm chill, you know, I like to get my stuff, but everybody was in there on some high anxiety stuff.
Oh man, when we went, because someone had told us like they were going to shut down everything.
Uh-huh.
And we was like, shit, we got to go to the store. We went to the store, man, it was a madhouse. Mm-hmm. I mean, we waited in line for probably like 45 minutes. I mean, it was people just hoarding everything. And I'm like, and then we eventually had to go, well, shoot, we got to get stuff now because our hand is forced. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's buying everything up. Now, we got to jump in the pool with this madness. Because if we don't, we ain't going to have it. So we was up in there. We came out the store with a big shopping cart full of stuff because we didn't know what was going to happen because everybody was just buying everything up.
Dude, it was crazy. I mean, it's still stuff like that, too, that are not on the shelf, which is odd, but it's just like, you know, it's just crazy. But that's what I was telling Tammy. I was like, if for some reason, you know, you guys are not able to get stuff, get the herbs. Cause I told her about the hibiscus flower, just like jackfruit.
Okay.
Make that like the jackfruit. So, but anyway, I'll give you guys that secret later.
Yeah.
Okay, so do you think there will ever be a period of time where the majority of people of color will eliminate meat and dairy from their diet?
Totally. Everybody?
Yeah.
You know what? I really think that we can't even sustain this anymore. I think this is a big pivotal point in history.
Right.
As far as this meat and dairy. Because these diseases are coming out of this process. And I think people are starting to realize that. I think after this is all over with, and you know, they're shutting down plants and stuff like that, but you know, the orange guy open them back up. But people are starting to realize that these viruses are coming out of these places. People are also starting to realize that it's killing off the planet and it's using up tons of resources, and the forest is burning because of it, and how much water that we have to use, and how much land that we have to use, how much we clear cut to make room for animal agriculture. I think a lot of stuff started coming out when they started having them fires in not only Australia. Where else did they have fires at?
Wasn't it like the rainforest?
Yeah. So and you know, so information starts coming out, and you know, social media is good for that. You know, the internet is good for that. You can really, you know, they have a lot of information that's not correct, but if you're really searching, you can find out what's going. You can really find out what's going on. You know what I'm saying? And so I think it's a good thing. I think a lot of people are starting to realize this is going on. And I know people that weren't vegans, that were animal lovers, really pet lovers, right? But now realize that the other animals they're eating are just the same, and they're starting to wake up that way too. And environmentalists and people like that, that how can you be an environmentalist and still be a part of something that's tearing the environment up? It doesn't make any sense, right? If you're a true environmentalist, you know the animal agriculture is tearing the planet apart. It's overheating the planet. So, you know, just people like that are starting to actually do what they say, right? Animal lovers, you start to love animals. You know, if you're environmentalist, you start to really love the environment, whatever that entails.
Yeah, because, oh, wait, hold on. All right. So do you think there's a connection between health and food that we consume in the Black community when it comes to health challenges?
Yeah, man, come on. You know, we don't just have these issues because we're Black. That's not what does it. We have these issues because of our habits, period. Not so much in California, but it's in California. But like in the southern states, the Midwest, their whole lifestyle is different. I mean, very sedentary, right? Everything is fried. I mean, everything is fried. You know, they're not very active in a lot of places. And I think a lot of the being active has to do with the weather, because a lot of them states are very extreme hot and extreme cold. So you got extreme hot, extreme cold. You don't have a lot of, you know, running around outside and doing things outside and being active on top of the food that you're eating. And, you know, obesity is a huge problem, especially in the Black community, and a ton of other chronic diseases that can be avoided from the habits that we have. So yeah, it's not because of our DNA, it's because of what we're putting in our bodies.
And see, and some will say that it is in the DNA. And then when I get that question, I'm like, okay, you know what that means is? That means that whoever it was, where it started at in that generation, it was passed down from generation to generation. So that's how you end up getting all this stuff that gets passed down to you, when you can cut that stuff and it won't get passed down.
Right. Because it had to start somewhere, right?
Right.
And it didn't start 400 years ago, right? So it had to start somewhere, right? So that them habits were passed down to generation to generation to generation, which has an effect on genes. It does, but you have to feed those genes. The soil has to be right? So if you switch your habits up, then you can switch up your genes.
Exactly, because you can change your DNA. But anyway, that's a whole nother conversation.
I think that's just an excuse, justification on not wanting to change what they're doing.
Right.
That's all I think that.
Right. It's the inner work. It's the fear. Yeah. It's the fear that's attached to that, not wanting to do the self work.
Right.
So, okay, so you already pretty much talked about how Tammy does all the cooking. So, is there a favorite recipe you have, or no?
Favorite recipe.
Our favorite restaurant.
A favorite restaurant.
It doesn't have to be in the Bay.
I've only been to this restaurant a couple of times in South San Francisco, but it's one of my favorite. It's called Nick's. And then I like the Veg Hub in Oakland. And then what would be another one? Let me name an LA one. What would be a good one in LA that I went to? And I'm sure I went to several.
Sage?
Sage is okay. There's another one out there that I liked better than
Tammy
that.
said a lot. She likes a lot.
Very good. A lot. Yes. I knew it was another one I used to go to out there. Yeah. I love a lot. And they have if you want something healthy, they got that for you.
The raw dishes.
There's another one called Shangri-La Vegan, and it's run by some monks, and they only have every day. They only have what's there. You can't order anything. The plate comes.
In LA? In LA?
Oh. It's called Shangri-La Vegan.
Uh-huh.
And you just order either a big plate or a moderate plate. But the same things comes on, you don't order. It comes, this is what we made, and this is what you but it's so delicious and clean and flavorful. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it's really good.
Look, that sound like in the house when your parents cook. Look, this is what's cooked. This is what you gonna eat. You're not eating nothing else.
Right. You're gonna be hungry or you're gonna eat this. One or two. That's your two options.
All right. So any advice on anyone that's trying to transition to this lifestyle that you can give?
Most people they transition to this lifestyle and it's not overnight like me. You know what I'm saying? It's not one experience that they wake up and go, So most people, I tell them to be patient with themselves. Just because you fell off or, you're trying to do it and it starts, a little bit hard here and there, and you might go back and get back on it. It does, don't make that a reason to just stay off of it. Really pay attention to how you feel when you're eating that way. And ask yourself, do you want to feel good? Do you want to, be healthier? Do you want to do better? So don't give up on it, because in the long run, it's really going to pay off for you. So that's the only advice I can give. If you want to do it and you start it, just because you have a little hiccup, don't stop. Just keep pushing, because most people it takes a while for it to happen. And for me to be a vegan, it took 2 years because I was ignorant. I didn't know about the eggs and the milk. And
so when did you start exactly? What year?
I think it was the end of 2012.
Oh, okay.
December 2012 or 2013. December 2013. I think it's gonna be 8 years this December.
Oh, yeah, okay.
2013.
Yeah, it's a process.
Yeah, so I didn't know. If I would have known about that right away, I would have been. I probably would have just not even went there with it. As far as being vegetarian, went straight to vegan. But I justified it too by going, well, that's a whole lot of work to see if milk is, check and see if milk is everywhere. You know what I'm saying? And then, I was on the eggs because that was a source of protein for me. I thought that's what I needed. Right? And I didn't know the process of that either. And then when I finally seen it, I'm like, this is not right. And I couldn't do it. I instantly, I was done with it at that point. But yeah, so, it was a 2-year process for me to be vegan, but I got there. So yeah, don't be so hard on yourself. And as long as you're making steps to go that direction, it's helping everybody.
Right.
So stay with it.
Okay. And last advice. So with any males that are looking to do, the whole bodybuilding and be on this type of diet, what advice would you give for that?
Well, don't think that you're gonna get weak when you switch your diet. I think a lot of people, when they do say, okay, I'm gonna do the vegan thing, I think the biggest mistake is they remove the meat and dairy, but they don't replace it with anything. So most of us have a diet when we usually eat meat, is at least in my case too. I thought I was eating really healthy, but I would just have a little bit of vegetables, starch, and meat, right? So potatoes, meat, chicken, a little bit of broccoli, brown rice, whatever, the whole like bodybuilder diet. And if you just remove the meat part of it, which is most people get their nutrients from the meat because they don't have a balanced diet. They don't eat a lot of stuff, right? So you're getting all the nutrients from this animal, plus all the cholesterol and all the other bad stuff too, right? But they just removed that. So if you just remove this big chunk of calories and nutrients from your diet, what are you left with? You're left with very little nutrients as far as it goes. Now you're just working with side dishes, right? That's all you're working with. So they're not replacing those, whatever they're losing from this meat, with anything else, plus the calories that you're removing. So now you're removing a ton of calories, right? And you wonder why you lose weight. Well, your calories just drop down because a vegan diet is already low on calories. So if you're not replacing those calories, you're going to be in calorie deficit, which means you're going to lose weight. Right?
That's what I did.
That's what's going to happen. Because you're just removing, probably 1,500 calories from your diet. You're not replacing them with anything. So you're just, you're on this, you have to replace it. So if I remove this many calories, what am I going to replace that with? I'm going to replace that with something healthy with just as many calories, right? That's how people lose weight. They go into calorie deficit. That's how they start losing weight.
But I detox. Like I detox to do the transition. Yeah, so I detox for 20 days.
Yeah. So you lost a lot.
Oh yeah, I was like I started this in 2008 and I was a 13. So I went to like a 7. Mm-hmm. But like I said, I detoxed. I was doing the herbs and the detox to eliminate, to cleanse, the cleanse. And then and I actually did another one after that. So I did 40 days.
Woo.
Yeah, I did 40 days.
You got a whole new system when you started back eating.
No, I kept the weight. I kept the weight off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You had to complete shut down and reboot. That's what you had.
No, but it was needed, and like you said, as far as like the mentality and you being clear, that stuff started coming through. So, hey.
Yeah, when you start clearing your vessel, you start to hear things that you weren't hearing before.
Yep.
You start to get downloads. It's like you can only see what you're available to see. And when we dumb ourselves down, we can't see anything besides the dysfunction and dumbness. That's what we are.
All right. And a lot of stuff started falling off, clearing out.
Right. And that's why you end up with a new circle, new tribe, new career, new everything, because you actually became a different person.